What do you think happened on this day 15 years ago?
This day, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 107 podcast. We are recording on the 28th of September, 2023. Yeah. 15 years ago.
On this day 15 years ago, there was a race. A race.
Was it Brazil?
No. Earlier than Brazil.
Earlier than Brazil. Because it was probably something like Lewis Hamilton winning a title.
It kind of did have an impact on that.
Oh, wait, 15 years. So that's 2012?
No, 15 years ago.
Yeah, it's 2023.
Yeah, take away 15.
Oh, Jesus, I can't do maths.
2008.
2008, yeah, okay.
Due to a very unconventional strategy, Fernando Alonso won the first ever Singapore Grand Prix.
Was that 15 years ago today?
That was
Crashgate was 15 years ago today. Wow.
No, an unconventional strategy.
Oh, is that what we're going with? Okay.
Yeah, I saw on Reddit. The Reddit post was, on this day 15 years ago, Fernando Alonso Diaz for the ING Renault F1 team won the inaugural 2008 Singapore Grand Prix from 15th on the grid with unconventional strategy.
15th on the grid is outrageous. Well done, Fernando.
What a title. If you didn't know about Formula One history, you'd be like, wow, what kind of strategy was that?
15th? That's unbelievable.
Genius.
I sure do hope Felipe Massa and his Ferrari team know how to refuel a car.
Yeah, definitely. Gosh. Yeah. But,
wow. Racing history, everyone.
Racing history.
And so is part of the reason why you brought that up? Because it was a night race?
No, I just brought it up because it was on this day.
Ah, okay. Well, speaking of night races, we are previewing the Qatar Grand Prix, aren't we? Which is also a night race. That's where my segue came in. We're getting so much better at this. Every single week, we get better at these segues.
Yeah. Oh, you do.
That was the most sarcastic you do I've had in a long time. So we've only run here once, right? So technically Mercedes are undefeated at this track.
Mercedes are undefeated. Fernando Alonso got a podium last time. Yep. Pierre Gasly was on the front row.
He was, yeah.
He was on the front
surprisingly.
Row,
yeah. For some reason the Alpine was like really good here, like weirdly good.
Yeah, I think it's just the characteristics of the track, new asphalt, different temperatures, but. Yeah. I mean, once Max and Lewis just kind of ran away, it's pretty much a procession of a race. But Fernando spiced it up by holding off Perez for third. So, I mean, we're probably going to see something similar.
Probably.
Yeah. I think Max and Sergio are just going to run away. Actually, I think Sergio is going to come back to normal, and then we'll just see a battle for third. I'm going to say. Looking at the track, it's going to be a Mercedes in third.
Really?
I think McLaren's will do well, but I think it'll be a Mercedes in third, yeah.
See, this track is a MotoGP track initially. That's essentially what it is, right?
Yeah.
Which does mean a lot of high-speed corners, essentially, especially if you look at the first sector, and the third sector, it's quite high-speedy corners, right?
The third sector I can see, but like the first sector, you've got that, kind of.
It's like two almost 90-degree turns.
Yeah, but then you have two 92-degree turns after that.
Yeah, true.
And then, you could be right. You could be right, actually. Maybe I'm wrong. I've said Mercedes, I've got to stick with it.
So you go Mercedes. But I think the Mercedes domination will end. I think that essentially what will probably happen is Max will put it on pole. And he'll beat DRS from whoever's in second and third or whatever within a lap or two. But that Red Bull, I'm very interested to see the Sector 3 times of that Red Bull because it's mostly straights. If you look at from turn 11 through to 16, that where essentially it's the end of Sector 2, start of Sector 3.
Yeah, straights and fast corners.
Straights and fast corners. So I reckon that I personally feel as though we will be in store or ready in our seats with our popcorn in hand for a repeat of the British Grand Prix. That is essentially what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that this will be a lot like the British Grand Prix. very flat track, lots of high-speed corners, couple of little straights thrown in there as well. That's what I'm thinking.
I'm thinking the US will be like that. And I think the McLarens will be really strong there.
I don't think McLaren are going to do that well in the US, personally. I don't know why. I just have a funny feeling that they're not going to do amazingly well.
Anything, that track's more similar, I find, to Silverstone and Suzuka, because they've got their swooping S's in the first sector. They've got the long straights. So.
I don't know. I personally see US Grand Prix as a little bit of a mix between Monza and Singapore. So I actually think Ferrari will be really strong in Vegas.
You think so?
Yeah, that's just my opinion. I'm saying Ferrari, especially because the McLaren is quite draggy. It's good in high-speed corners, but not so much on straights. And the Las Vegas straight is pretty bloody long. So that's why I'm saying that Ferrari...
No, I'm talking about COTA.
Oh, okay. You're talking about COTA. I was thinking...
The next race is COTA.
Yeah. No, I understand that. But when you said US, I was like, oh, you mean Vegas?
Sorry. Yeah, because
I do apologize. Well, you could have meant Miami as well, but obviously we've done that.
Well, no, because COTA is the US Grand Prix.
Yes, true.
And, I was talking about COTA because it's got the really fast out
sector one. Yeah,
it's got the long straight, but then after that, it's got kind of like a similar Istanbul turn, and I think the McLarens will be really strong there. But I'm going to stick with the Mercedes as bringing up the final podium position.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I'm going for a repeat of Suzuka. I'm going Max first, and then the two McLaren boys second and third. That's what I'm going for.
Cool.
My papaya tinted glasses are burning off of my face right now, but that's what I'm going for. I think that it's just a track that will be well suited to them. But Ferrari could potentially challenge. Who knows?
Well, we'll see, because it's a sprint race this weekend.
Yes, it is. So we'll actually have a really good gauge of it already on Saturday, won't we?
Yep. Oh, on Friday as well, because they've got the...
Oh, yeah, quali's on Friday. Yes, I do apologise. And then obviously sprint Saturday, and then the quali for the... the whole sprint Saturday is obviously quali, then the sprint, and then obviously the race on the Sunday. So that's a little reminder for everyone to check exactly what time each of the sessions will be happening during the weekend as well. Just, don't forget. Come on. This episode will go live, although we're recording it on the 28th of September, this will go live on the Thursday, so the day before the first day of running at Qatar. But we're recording it a little bit early because I'm moving, so I do apologize for that. So yeah, but
I do apologize because I'm moving.
Yeah, well, I'm moving because we're trying to get a third podcast host. So we'll have to discuss that at some point soon. But obviously,
I feel like it'll become a second podcast host, and I'll just get kicked
just
out.
Slowly fade away into the background.
Which will be understandable when
semi-understandable. This podcast host will be living with me as well. So
you actually could promote the video viewing of the podcast.
Oh yeah, easily. Yeah.
But I guess when viewers see
endorse by,
they'll be like, out. We have a new podcast host.
Exactly. But so with it being a sprint
his opinions
weekend,
will be completely on the fence.
Pretty much, yeah.
Neither here nor there.
He'll be a bit like Kimmy, won't really say that much.
Yeah.
But so with this weekend being a sprint race weekend, Max could potentially win the championship on a Saturday, which I can see your blood boiling through the screen right now.
I know. I told this to you. I told this to Terry.
Yeah.
It would be the absolute worst.
I'm also pretty sure you explained it to I Give an F1.
Okay, yeah, probably did.
I'm pretty sure you did.
Anyone that wanted to hear or didn't want to hear.
Anyone who would listen or not listen
knows how much I have a pet peeve with the championship being decided on a Saturday. And we put up that post. It's going to be he's going to win it.
He's going to win it, yeah.
He's going to win it on Saturday. And it's just so underwhelming because regardless of your thoughts on his domination or anything like that, and how 2022 went when they're like, oh, you've won. Oh, you haven't won. Oh, you've won. No one knew what the fuck was going on.
Yeah.
It's going to be a chance to have a proper celebration, some iconic team radios, and, oh, it's Saturday. Yeah, we still got a race on Sunday to do.
You're
You got
right.
to wreath, and
I think if you're Max, right, think about it like this. Your first championship you won under very odd circumstances. You were able to celebrate, of course, but I think especially with lots of big scary lawyers walking around the paddock, potentially it could have been taken away from you at any point. The second championship, you didn't know if you actually won it in Suzuka. There was a lot of confusion. Although it would have been amazing, I'm sure that it wasn't 100% as satisfying as you want it to be. Whereas with this, winning it during a Saturday, during a sprint race, and then having to get up the next morning and then also do a proper race, again, it's just not done in a particularly satisfying way. I'm sure with his elite mentality, he will want to win the race anyway, though, right?
Oh yeah, he doesn't give a shit.
Probably not. No,
he does not care. But I think for the spectacle of the sport, it'll be nice for him to win it on a Sunday after a longer race with a champagne and with a trophy.
Yeah,
and his whole team celebrating as well.
Yeah,
and just being on that podium.
He'd then have a little bit of a break as well. He'd have a little bit of a break. Like, so he'd have like a few days to rest and recover as well. So
I think the whole team would be able to just go out, party, and we've got a couple of weeks till Texas.
Yeah,
and it's just
Yeah, I think the only thing is that if he doesn't win the championship on Saturday, right, it's because something catastrophic has happened. So his engine's blown up, or he's put it in the wall, or somebody's crashed into him, right? And my only issue with that is that if only if that had happened in a different race to make it more interesting, because I don't want to see some sort of catastrophic failure or for Max to DNF during a sprint race, because winning a sprint race it must be so underwhelming compared to an actual race.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a participation trophy. That's essentially what it must be, like, especially if you're somebody who has never won a race before, or who race wins come very, very rarely. So if you're Ferrari, of course you're going to be particularly happy. But like it does seem like a very Lando Norris thing to happen, because it's not technically a race win, but it isn't. Maybe George Russell, Lewis Hamilton, he wouldn't care. Like that would just be. I mean, he would care, but he wouldn't at the same time. It's not like a proper race win. So I mean, you would sort of hope that if something
Russell's got a race win, so
he does. Yes, but as somebody who doesn't win particularly often, so that's where I mentioned George. But yeah, I think that it would also be slightly annoying if this was the one race that Fernando Alonso won, because it's technically not a race as well. It is, but it isn't. So I don't know. I just think if there's going to be something that, like, if Max is going to DNF, please let it be on Sunday, so that so that like there's a different race winner again. That would be my only comment.
Okay, that's a fair comment to make, but it's just underwhelming. And
trust me, I fully understand. But I mean, hopefully he does become world champion this weekend, but just not during the sprint race. Who knows? Maybe he has a really awful pit stop. Who knows? Not that I want anything bad to happen to him, but at the same time, it would be a little bit underwhelming.
Yeah. So, or maybe he can be just like, you know what? Just put Liam in.
Exactly.
Saturday off.
I do think it would be absolutely brilliant if he went, right, well, I've wrapped up the championship on the Saturday, and then he just rings up Yuki and he goes, hello, mate, do you fancy swapping cars for the weekend? And put Yuki in the Red Bull and then chuck Max in the AlphaTauri and just see what happens. just see what happens. See what happens.
Do you know what? We should go back and listen to some of the previous, because didn't we make a prediction on when he would win?
Yeah, I said Japan.
I said Qatar.
You did. I think you did say Qatar.
So I think I've saved myself after the Nick De Vries prediction.
Yeah, that was particularly bad. I think I might have also said US Grand Prix, but I can't remember. But I don't think I ever said Qatar. So I think you're right. What did Terry say? Let's go back at some point and work
Terry
out.
Said Qatar
I think he said Qatar. I mean, he is Mr. Formula One, so I mean, of course he said Qatar. But I think that we should go back and we should double check exactly what we said. and then compare it after it's been confirmed when he is actually world champion.
That's true.
Because you never know.
You might not win it.
You never know. What happens? Max Verstappen gets food poisoning, and then they have to bring in a reserve driver. Who knows? Who knows what happens? So we'll wait and see, because
we shall wait and see.
It could be quite interesting. But yeah, so you're saying podium. I've said Max, Lando.
So I'm not talking about the sprint race. The proper race Sunday, I'm going Red Bull 1-2 and Mercedes in third. I'm not sure who though.
If I had to push you for an answer,
Lewis.
Okay, yeah. I think you might be right there. Cool. All right, yeah. I think
what were your predictions? Was it the
Max,
same as
Lando, Oscar?
Max, Lando, Oscar.
Cool.
Nice.
And then I think if you haven't watched or listened to our previous episode, we talked a little bit about Logan Sargent. Do you think Logan will beat Alex or score a point?
No, it's not one of those tracks like a Monaco or a Singapore.
No, I'm afraid it's not. No. Yeah.
It's kind of like the French Grand Prix in a way. If I can see Logan scoring a point, it could be at Mexico with the long straight, Vegas because it's basically straight and it's a home race for him. I could see him scoring points there.
Yeah.
And it'd be interesting to see how Fernando does, because that Aston is not really doing very well, but he managed to get a podium with an Alpine last time. So if he can do it again, he could do it again.
Who knows? Yeah, it could be quite interesting for sure. But I still think it's going to be an interesting race. I don't think it's going to be particularly boring or processional. I think that there's got to be some sort of, because especially there's only been one race at this track, right? So there must be some sort of strategy that comes into play. The surface could be potentially weird. There could be loads of dust and stuff like that. So I'm hoping that it's interesting, especially because the last couple of races have been really interesting. So I hope it isn't all of a sudden just very flat and bleh, you know?
Yeah. No, totally agree. So the race is at 6 p.m.
Yep.
So for those on the East Coast, it's at a normal time.
Welcome back.
1 p.m.
Normal service has resumed.
For those on the West Coast, it looks like it's going to be a morning one. I can't do the time calculation.
I can't do the time calculations in my head either. But I mean, if you're American,
I think it could be like 7 or 8 a.m.
Yeah, that sounds about
maybe
right.
Maybe it's okay. But
Sunday morning F1 breakfast sounds lovely.
But I think those in the Southern Hemisphere, it's no service. Normal service has resumed with crazy times. Yeah, I've got to give it to them.
That sounds about right. Proper dedication. If you are listening to this podcast from down under, you have our full moral support for getting up at ridiculous o'clock and trying to watch Formula One.
I couldn't do it. I'd leave. I'd go to another country.
Purely to watch Formula One, you would go to a different country, so the time zones line up.
Just good sleep is just so good.
All right, fair enough. But yeah, any other comments around the Qatar Grand Prix? Obviously, we've only really got one previous race to go on, and we've obviously said our predictions. But is there anything else you're expecting to come out of this race?
It'll be good to see Lance. See if he can put Singapore behind him and Japan behind him, and start afresh. Obviously, we talked about it a lot in the last episode, so we won't touch on it too much. But we're interested to see. Right, Logan seems to be given a second chance, so it could be good for him.
Yep.
And I think there's just some spicy battles throughout. The Alpines, not exactly the best of friends.
The French Civil War could be kicking off again, which is amazing to see. Yeah. Finally, fireworks. I called for it earlier in the season, didn't I? That could be good. I think we do have to take a moment of silence because this will be the last appearance of the Haas sprint car. Obviously, this weekend it will be the last.
No.
Yeah.
We've got 2 more sprints, mate.
No. But remember, Haas are bringing upgrades at the US Grand Prix, so their sprint car will be no more.
Sorry.
They've got their B-spec car, which they seem to have pulled out of nowhere. But
RB spec car.
Yes, exactly. Their RB spec car. So they will be running that in the US Grand Prix. I don't know whether or not it will be both Kevin and Nico that will be running the upgrades or the different car. So who knows? I guess we'll have to wait for that weekend to come. Yep. But it will be the last proper outing of the, as we know it, sprint race spec Haas. So expect to see the two Haas drivers up there during the sprint race as well. Maybe on the cusp of some points.
Yeah, I mean, Lewis and George have been coming together a fair amount in the races, so that could add to some drama. Same with the McLarens; they've been coming together, so it could be some real good internal battles actually throughout.
Let's hope so. Also, do you know what we need to do? We need to double check what the driver standings is, because
I've got them here.
Yeah, I'm just about to pull them up, but the reason why is because obviously that third place position, Lewis has pulled out a little bit of a lead. So Lewis is currently sat on 190 points and Fernando Alonso is on 174. So it's going to be interesting to see the last 6, I think you said, races.
Yeah.
And see just how close that battle gets.
Well, the way the Aston is, because look, he's got Sainz, which is 24 points behind him.
Yeah.
Leclerc is 25 behind, 15 behind Sainz.
Yeah.
So, and Lando's coming up as well. I don't think Lando, we might be able to catch him. It's going to be tough, but I think Lando's on the same amount of points as George.
Yes, he is. Yeah, I can see Lando solidifying 7th in the drivers and beating George. I can see that happening between now and the end of the season.
I can see him beating George. I think
I don't know if he'll beat Charles.
I think he could get the Ferraris. If that car continues to perform,
yeah,
I think he could get the Ferraris.
Well, I think how many points is a P2? That's 18 points, right?
Yeah.
So call it so 18 points. Let's say he gets another 2 P2s between now and the end of the season. Which I still think is hilarious that he has the same number of P2s as Sergio Perez, but it is what it is. But if he gets another, that's almost 40 points.
36,
so, yeah, so he could probably catch Charles, maybe Carlos, but who knows?
Yeah, who knows, right?
But also, I think Oscar Piastri at 57 points, I think if he solidifies his position with Lance Stroll is 47 points. I mean, let's be honest, he's probably going to
I think Oscar's got P9 wrapped
Oscar, providing he doesn't completely screw everything up, he probably has P9 confirmed. Pierre Gasly with 46 points in 11th and Lance Stroll on 47 in 10th. That could be a potentially interesting.
Well, you've also got Ocon on 38, so they're quite close to each other.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting for sure. And it will also be interesting to see just how far Liam Lawson goes as well.
Yeah. So
yeah, we've got a lot to look forward to, even after the World Championship. Jesus, World Championship. Is decided this weekend. I'm very clearly very tired, apparently. But yeah, so we've got a lot to look forward to, not only this weekend but for the rest of the season, which is lovely to think about for sure.
No, it's going to be a fun race. We know Max run away, but hopefully TV direction will show us some good battles throughout the technically the midfield. So.
Yeah, exactly. Fingers crossed, because also we're under a 10-year contract here to race in Qatar. So hopefully, I mean, the race in 2021 was fantastic. And so hopefully that long may that continue.
Yeah. Cool.
There we go. Cool. Well, I think that's probably about it, to be honest. It's like the 3rd, maybe 4th time in a row that I've thought, oh yeah, remember to rate the podcast and like and subscribe and all that fun stuff at the end of the episode. Can we make it a point?
I think, for us, it's nice, but we don't care.
We do, but we don't.
We do, but we don't. It's not like definitely follow us and like us. We do it because we do the podcast because we like to talk about Formula One, and it's just nice to have the community and stuff. And well, I've noticed we're getting a lot of interactions on the Instagram post. People are coming back and forth, which we love. We try and respond to every comment we can, even the ridiculous ones.
Some of them are a bit ridiculous. Some of you have some very unhinged opinions.
And some of you cannot do maths.
Oh, yeah. Some of you also can't do maths. Yeah, not the best maths in our fan base apparently. But yes, let's wrap it up from there. But yeah, like, subscribe, rate, all that fun stuff, because it really does.
Like, subscribe,
it means a
rate.
lot to us, that's for sure. It definitely does mean a lot. It's
just nice to know that you're putting something out there that people enjoy. But
exactly,
we do actually have some cool stuff coming. I know we have a third podcast host, but we do actually have a very cool guest coming on soon. So, well, not soon, when we can get them on.
Yes, yeah, we do have a potential very cool guest lined up in the near future, a new host, and also we joked about it a little bit offline. We might as well cover it for a second now, but we joked about potentially doing, obviously, like a big fat quiz of the year type thing, but also, depending on what happens this weekend, you may see a new feature called the People's FIA coming, where we will be reviewing a decision where there's maybe a bit of controversy, and we'll be asking you, our followers on Instagram, TikTok, wherever you are, to let us know what you think, and then we will immediately throw out your opinions and provide a 5-second time penalty to Esteban Ocon. Sound good? Cool. All right. Well, we'll see you next week. Thank you very much for listening. And yeah, let's hope for a good race in Qatar.
Enjoy the race and see you all next week.
Cheers, everyone.